to the 26th Hayley-Roxanna Crafts quick cross stitch video, where I share information, hints and tips on one area of cross stitch in a short video. In this video I am focusing on how to mount a finished cross stitch to the aperture mount for framing. An aperture mount is a mount often used when framing photographs or artwork that is placed in front of the work, as it has a space or aperture cut out, allowing for the work to be seen. This is a great way of providing a level of breathing space between the frame and the work. You can mount your work on mount board, as I demonstrated in my last quick cross stitch video, and put the aperture in front of it in the frame, as I did here. However, it is also possible to frame a cross stitch, particularly one of this size, just using the aperture mount, as I did here. The first thing to do when mounting your finished cross stitch directly onto your aperture mount is to make sure that your finished cross stitch is slightly smaller than the aperture mount. Then you may want to blanket stitch around the edge of your fabric. This is not necessary, but I prefer to do it to protect the edges if I decide to take it off the aperture mount at a later date. I've already made sure that this cross stitch is smaller than the aperture mount, and I've done the blanket stitching. Then you want to place the aperture mount face down on a flat surface. As you can see with this one, the one side's white and the other side's sort of a creamy colour, which is the back. Place that face down. You then want to stick some acid-free double-sided tape around the aperture. You want to use acid-free tape, as acid can cause discoloration to your fabric and your threads over time. Okay, so you just want to stick it around the edges of that aperture. Also, when you are cutting the double-sided tape, do make sure not to use your embroidery scissors, as I can guarantee that the stickiness on it will damage your embroidery scissors. So it can leave a lovely sticky residue on the scissors. There we go. And then you just need to remove the backing from the double-sided tape, if yours has got any. Some double-sided tape comes without. You can get it on a roller and not even need to use scissors to put it on. You can just roll it on. My one has backing on it, so I'm just going to remove that backing. You've then got two options for how to frame this. You could take your finished cross stitch and place it face down on top of the mount, making sure it's in the centre and sticking it in place. Or what I prefer to do is I place my cross stitch face up, turn the aperture mount over and lower it into place over my design, just making sure that my design is in the centre, like so, and you get it straight. It can be a little bit fiddly. If you don't push down on your tape straight away, you can have another go. There we go, like so. You want even space all the way around if you can, and then once you are happy, just push that into place. And you want to do it on a flat surface to make sure that your cross stitch is stretched as much as possible and is flat in your aperture mount and is not sticking up at all and has got lumps and bumps in it. Okay, you're now ready to place the aperture mount with your cross stitch attached into your frame. And here is my framed cross stitch. I have removed the glass from this frame for framing purely because of filming and photographing this design, but you can leave the glass in to protect your work. And I usually pop the little information sheet that way round behind my work, just to make sure that you can't see the back of the frame through the design at all. If you have any questions about mounting your cross stitches to the aperture mount, please pop them in the comments. And in the next quick cross stitch video, I will discuss Aida fabric.